My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Despite heightened uncertainty, the economy is still in a solid position. The unemployment rate remains low, and the labor market is at or near maximum employment. Inflation has come down a great deal, but has been running somewhat above our 2% longer run objective. In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged. The risks of higher unemployment and higher inflation appear to have risen, and we believe that the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments.
Well, that is not going to make Donald Trump happy at all. He's sending out the message, lower the rates. Too late, Jerome. Too late, Powell. That's the nickname. It's a bad nickname. Trump's got good ones. He can do better than this. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Appreciate it if you would. That was Jerome Powell, Chairman of the Federal Reserve. No change to the interest rates. We're going to get into all of it. Keep tuned to the radios. Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis, is going to be with us. And Charles Payne of Fox Business. Spoke with him a little bit earlier. I'll share that with you as well. His thoughts on where this economy is. There were a couple things happening on the Hill that I wanted to get to, including one of the more insane back and forths I've ever heard of. In what wasn't that anybody was rude, wasn't anybody was screaming or yelling or doing anything like that, but it was just a radical and ridiculous position from Senator Reed of Rhode Island, when he said, I don't know why you're reviewing contracts.
I hate old white men.
I'm sorry. What now?
I hate old white men.
That's what I thought that you said. This is Senator Jack Reed talking to Howard Lutnick, who's the Commerce Secretary. And in this conversation comes this very, very odd thought process.
And it's been reported in the press that you are insisting on personally reviewing every commerce contract over $100,000?
That is true.
Well, that seems to be something that is not particularly efficient. And
what? It's not efficient to review contracts? It's not efficient to be the guy in charge and go over where you're spending your money? I mean, this is knock you over with the feather stuff. When did that become something that's inefficient? Listen.
that results in the 5,700 contracts just in NOAA. So again, if you can't find reliable support to do those reviews, I think you're wasting your time, frankly.
So I am tasked with the responsibility of my department, and contracts over $100,000 should be reviewed by the secretary. Now, I may have more energy and more time, and if you drive by the Department of Commerce late at night, you're going to see our lights on because I'm going through it. I do it with my team. I do it with the people who run the bureaus, and I teach them how to analyze.
Hold on a second, Mr. Lutnick. Secretary Lutnick, please, respectfully. Are you suggesting that Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island, Democrat, is so daft he thinks that you, in all the things you do, are reading every contract? Or he doesn't understand that you have a team and you're like, okay, look for these things, or tell me what, surmise this for me, and then you're reviewing those things? There's no way he thinks you're reading every page of every contracts,
not to push forward what was done before. And I'll give you one quick example. They come to me with planes, hurricane hunters, and they said there were $672 million. I said, wow, how many planes do we get? We get two planes? Wow. Can I see the plane, please? Just show me a picture of the plane and they show me this picture of a plane. You remember old planes? They had like mullions in the windscreen, and they show me that, 3 propellers on each side. And I said, my God, when was this plane new? They said, no, you're buying a new plane. I said, no, when was the first one?
Excuse me, Mr. Secretary.
1955.
Excuse me, Mr. Secretary.
These things have
You're
to stop.
talking about a $600 million acquisition. That's
Correct.
a lot more than a $100,000 contract to do something like cleaning in the buildings that you occupy.
Oh,
And
we cancel huge numbers of absurd contracts for software nobody uses. I said, how many people use this software? Zero. These are waste.
Excuse me.
These are fraud, or these.
Jack Reed is making an argument that some things aren't worth looking at. They're rounding errors. Your tax dollar, my tax dollar is nothing more than a rounding error. Who cares? This is his argument. You want to know why Congress's approval level is quite next to whatever it is, the crud that appears on the top of a toilet of your 6-year-old that had bad Mexican? This is why. Every dollar matters because they are our dollars. And this is the Democratic senator of Rhode Island truly making the argument, because at first, maybe he was just confused at how these things are done. It was about a process issue. No, he really thinks it's wrong to look at contracts that are above 100,000 because it's not enough money to care about.
These are abuse, and it's my job.
How
to
many
teach my
CEOs,
staff.
how many CEOs of companies, major companies in the United States, are reviewing contracts at the $100,000 level? And if they would, what would the board of directors say to them?
The first year you're there, if you don't do it, you should be fired. You should know everything that's going through. You should do it with your staff. You should teach your staff how to do it. And then you should delegate them to do it once you've taught them. You don't do it, you're abdicating your responsibility. That's how I view it. That's how I ran my business privately. And that's how I'm going to run the government. I'm responsible for our
let's go ahead.
Now, I don't know Senator Reed's history in terms of businesses that he's owned, run, etc. Certainly, Lutnick has a tremendous amount of experience. If you're on the board, if you're a stockholder, you're a shareholder, don't you want to know that your company that you are investing in, putting your dollars into, isn't wasting your money, isn't wasting your time, isn't wasting your funds, isn't wasting this precious resource that you gave them through your toil, through your work? You go to work. You are able to take home dollars. The government already takes way too much of those dollars. I oppose the income tax, by the way. I oppose the idea that government should be allowed any participation in your labor and what you trade for your labor. You give them their cut that they take from you via the barrel of a gun, because if you don't pay, you go to jail. They'll break into your house. They will treat you, the American citizen, if you don't pay taxes, far worse than the illegal immigrant gang member from Venezuela who lives in Maryland. That goes without saying. If you don't pay your taxes, they will break in. They will have guns drawn. They will scare your children. They will pull your teen daughter out of the shower. They don't care if you don't pay your taxes. And here we are, making this radical argument that the money you're giving means nothing. Not only to them on terms of the tax dollar, but now the money that you've been able to keep hold of. You're making investments into your kids' future, your retirement, a whole host of things, right? You got a tremendous number of things that you're looking to do with these dollars and want to grow from these dollars. And he thinks it's wrong that a CEO is keeping tabs on the money being spent. What CEO does this? Well, you could argue that that's what you have a CFO for, a chief financial officer. Are you telling me the chief financial officer doesn't report to the CEO? Where a decision is made of, no, we got to reduce that. No, let's find another supplier for that. No. Why are we spending $600 million in this plane when we could spend $212 million on the plane? I don't argue that the plane doesn't cost money. I don't even argue whether or not we need the plane. I wouldn't know. I don't have enough data in front of me to make that call. But do you have to spend $600 million? And does it have to be spent without any care? How much does the Department of Commerce spend on toilet paper? Now, Senator Reed here is going to tell me that toilet paper costs are inconsequential. And I will say to him, tell that to the mom of 3 who's right now in Costco buying by bulk because of the cost of toilet paper. Or pick your subject. It doesn't even have to be that. If the Commerce Department had a contract to buy eggs, and eggs were just a few months ago at $8 for a dozen, what if you can find eggs for $6.82 a dozen? Isn't that a pretty big reduction if you're buying eggs on a large scale? At least $100,000 worth, because the average person is not buying $100,000 worth of eggs each and every year. The point is, you want to see that your money is well spent. And here is the Democratic Party saying, why are you wasting your time? Please stop telling me that there's not a difference between the parties. Please. There's a difference. There is a clear and obvious difference. There's a clear and obvious difference when we talk about education. This was Senator Kennedy, different hearing. Senator Kennedy is having a conversation about education. Now producer Kylan is in this week. I may not have caught all this. I don't think anybody uses any foul language, but hey, finger on the dump button just in case. Why not? Why not, producer Kylan? Listen.
On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take it your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word, but
All right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who are you talking about?
sir, I'm very skeptical. If there's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said.
No, you said it. Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical
You're
of some
embarrassed
members of the
that
Supreme
you made
Court.
that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an
telling you,
officer
Senator, it
of the
doesn't sound
court.
like something that
You know
I
what
would
I'm
say.
embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil
You did,
in the
right here
in the classroom,
on
sir.
your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
Big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful of federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon. You're part of what's the problem in all of this.
Can I just say for the record, not enough people use gag me with a spoon. I didn't know that Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana was also part Valley Girl. Professor Kate Shaw is who he's speaking to, professor of law and the co-director of the Florsheim Center for Constitutional Democracy. Oh, okay. Don't tell me that there isn't a difference between us and them. You can't just disagree. The other side is evil. They don't agree with you. They're evil. They can't just be wrong. I have referred to John Roberts as wrong numerous times. I don't think I've ever referred to him as evil. The people who go about saying that boys can be girls and work aggressively to help transition them and feed them puberty blockers and engage mutilation surgery, yeah, I'll call them evil. But no, you disagree. It's evil. By the way, Muldrow, City of St. Louis, it held that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 protects against discriminatory job transfers, even where the transfer does not result in a significant disadvantage. That just so you know what the case is. How could somebody who talks like this be somebody who engages in education for people on the law? Those people are going to end up with her leftist bias, her hatreds, her bigotry. And this is the point that's being made. the point being made when we say education has failed us, and higher education has truly, in multiple places, done great damage. Don't tell me there's no difference, guys. Don't tell me there's no difference between the parties. There is. Meanwhile, we got to go back and take a look at this drone attack that Ukraine had on Russia, because there's real concern about what this means for the United States inside the United States. I've got that story coming up. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Oh, that would be much more expensive. Hey, guys, welcome back. Tony Katz. Good to be with you. Happy to see everybody in the chat room and hanging out. I do not know if there is a dance party. Oh, was that the music I was playing? Was that dance party? Oh, I try my best. I could use some more music, but you can't do, because when you're live streaming, you can't do the music that's, copyrighted. You can't, they'll always give you a hard time, but I do it anyway. I don't worry about monetizing the live stream like that. That's what sponsors are for. Like Flederman Von Riest. Look at that. Look at that beauty right there. That is the Harborside Turquoise. The name of the watch is the Hanoverian right there. And you can get yours super easy. Just go to Von Riest, R-I-E-S-T-E, vonriest.com, and use my last name, Katz, K-A-T-Z, and get your discount. Man, I was supposed to do a whole bunch for them in the month of May, but the arm, check out my fancy sleeve here. Oh, that really hurt. It really hurt. Hold on a second. Ouch, tag. I couldn't do anything I wanted to do, so I've got much more to do for them in the month of June. Take care of your sponsors. Take care of your partners. That's the part of the name of the game, for sure. A bunch to get to, and also we're not live streaming the full show today, so I apologize for that. But we have absolutely plenty on the radio side. WIBC.com is where you go and catch all of the radio show. But we've got much more to go. And yes, I also love the turquoise. It is. So I have this in the turquoise, and I have this in what's known as the cornflower blue, which is a special edition that is available at vonriest.com. Just use my name, Katz, and get your discount. And trust me, you're gonna be pleased, overjoyed.
on clean energy. One of Donald Trump's core promises on the campaign trail, he would lower energy costs, he said, by 50%. But the opposite is happening. Energy costs are soaring across the country. People are paying more on their monthly electricity bills. Small businesses are struggling just to keep the lights on, and Donald Trump and the Republicans' big, ugly, energy-killing bill is about to make energy costs go even higher.
Does anybody know what Chuck Schumer is talking about here? Anyone at all? Bueller? Fry? Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. I don't know why energy is now in the crosshairs here. But this is not the first thing he has said about this, where he goes on to discuss the idea that the days of fossil fuel are numbered. So have you now struck out on so many different thoughts? Political left. You can't get people to bite on egg prices. You can't get people to bite on the border. You can't get people to bite on the idea that Trump is too old. And now the answer is energy?
And for big oil. Big oil hates clean energy. Fossil fuel industry hates clean energy because they know it's the future. And they know it's cheaper, at least in terms of solar panels. Cheaper and quicker.
They don't work. First of all, not cheaper. I don't know where that mathematics comes from. Cheaper than what? I don't know what he's referring to. But they don't work. We've seen this time and again and again. Look how America said to electric vehicles, some of them amazing, by the way, no thanks.
So they want to kill it. But everyone knows America needs clean energy in order to meet demands moving forward. Nothing's cheap and quick to build as clean energy. We need 10 times as much electricity to continuing powering breakthroughs in AI and stay ahead of China. With their bill, the Republicans want to raise taxes on the domestic energy sources that are set to deliver more than 80% of the power, of the new power in the next year.
It is the Trump administration that wants to open up the opportunities for actual drilling and for utilizing the energy under our feet. What is this new tact that they're taking? Of course, this is all about the one big beautiful bill. And there is a fight going on there because Elon Musk referred to it as abomination. And now you've got Senator Mike Lee saying, we've got some problems here. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, wait, there's stuff in here about AI. If I had known that, I never would have voted for it. Why didn't you know about it is a legit question that doesn't just go to Marjorie Taylor Greene because she's being unbelievably honest here. You know, none of them read it, which drives us crazy. But every time they fail, they just pivot to this new insanity. I don't mind solar, but it doesn't work. So while it doesn't work, could we at least please have abundant energy that's cheap that we have underfoot? I'm Tony Katz. Really is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. That this is now where they're going. How they're pushing. You almost feel for them. You know, this idea that they're lost and that they are leaderless is incredibly factual. They don't have a direction. They don't have anything that connects. We have all seen the giant windmills, which ruin the view, by the way. There's a moment. So earlier this year, I drove from Indianapolis to DC. Myself and I and a whole bunch of cigars, and it was it felt good. I don't often get to do that. By the way, did I just hear is that a bee that is in my studio? Oh no, it's a fly. Oh gosh, it just buzzed my ear. So you know it's gonna happen when I'm on air, right? Right now we're in the commercial break of the radio show. You know it's gonna happen. So if you see me like I haven't lost my mind, right? I'm not like Hunter saying, my gosh, how did I end up in this room? No, not at all. They don't have anything they can connect with. They don't have anything they can reach people with. And how do they expect to reach people with this message? So I'm doing this drive. And there's a moment where you hit Maryland. And it really is. It is beautiful in that connection piece. And how it goes and all, and you're looking at that, it's hilly and it's beautiful, and then boom, they've got these freaking windmills on top of the ridgeline there, and you're like, you ruined my view. You ruined everything. When I drive from where I'm at up I-69, there it is. There's the flyer. Stay away. We're doing a radio show here. I'm heading up to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Great spot. You see them. Yes, wait, is it that, or am I heading up to Lafayette? Which one of them? And you're like, what? I want to see the farmland of America. I don't mind that it's flat. It's this great story in and of itself. And then bloop, all this. It's silly, and they don't work. They don't provide the energy. But hey, if he wants to make this his argument, more power to the political left. You go out there and make this argument. I wish you the best with that, if only because it's really going to help the rest of us win elections, because you can't win elections this way. You can't. You just can't win them. Meanwhile, I've got a bunch more to get to, including, as I put in the headline there, this story about China. And specifically how the Ukraine-Russia conversation leads to a conversation about China. I will bring that up in just a moment as we come back to the radio show. Oh, why are you there? You think I can get him in midair? Think I can get him? This is not your home. Go. Nobody loves you. No, you're like the Eric Swalwell of flies. No one loves you. Just go away. You freak. I'm sure there's a Chinese spy that's out there trying to bang you right now. Fly, go. No? Too soon? Oh, that is going to annoy me. Let's see if I can keep my composure as we come back to the show. I'm glad you guys are here.
Breaking overnight, 2 Chinese researchers have been charged with smuggling a biological pathogen into the United States that they planned to study at the University of Michigan. According to the complaint filed yesterday, the 2 brought a fungus described as a, quote, potential agro-terrorism weapon that can cause disease in plants like corn, rice, and barley. According to the FBI, the pathogen is responsible for billions of dollars in economic damage worldwide every year. FBI Director Kash Patel said in a post on X that the case is a sobering reminder that the CCP, which is the Chinese Communist Party, is working around the clock to deploy operatives and researchers to infiltrate American institutions and target our food supply, which would have grave consequences. The affidavit doesn't specify what their intentions were in studying the fungus. The University of Michigan.
Hold on. I can guess what their intentions were. I could totally guess what their intentions were. And so can you, CNN. So can all of us. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything over at tonykatz.com. Agroterrorism. We know that these 2 woman and her boyfriend, as described, were going to the University of Michigan. We know they smuggled this in. We have that story that they were going to study at the University of Michigan. So we start with a baseline, which is no more student visas. No more international student visas. That's over. This is a danger. There are people we cannot trust. There are people we should not trust. Let us not trust them. Let us support the safety and the security of the United States. Sorry, the schools are closed. I do not care if the University of Michigan goes without the dollars. Doesn't mean anything to me. Doesn't matter. Figure it out. Dip into your endowment. Ask the alumni. Maybe pay less for NIL. I don't know. Don't care about any pain that you feel from this. I don't care if Harvard doesn't get $3 billion worth of grants because nobody's giving me $3 billion worth of grants, and I do incredible radio, ladies and gentlemen, worthy of $3 billion, and yet nothing has come from the federal government. Nonsense, if you ask me. I'm just going to start claiming anti-Semitism. It seems to work. Well, it works for Joy Reid. She's still claiming racism, but that's a story for another day. Agroterrorism. Utilizing this, what is referred to as a dangerous biological pathogen to basically wipe out a food supply. There are acts of war and then there are acts of war. And sometimes it doesn't matter that they're different. They're still acts of war. If you don't understand that we're at war with China, you don't understand that China's at war with us. If you don't understand that we're at war with Iran, you don't understand that Iran is at war with us, with their promotion of terrorism around the globe. You had Tom Homan, the border czar, saying that he's expecting it. He is expecting a terror attack on U.S. soil, considering how porous the border was under Joe Biden. The enemy is already here. The call is coming from within the house. But this China story gets a little more intense. Is that the right word? And it gets a little more intense because of what happened with Ukraine and Russia. I am just absolutely amazed by Ukraine and this drone attack that they refer to as Operation Spiderweb. And I'll dig a little more into it, where they were able to take drones, put them in these cargo containers that are utilized for basically interstate travel. I know they're not states in Russia, but interstate travel within Russia, moving goods here and there. And they created a fake top. They trained the drones to be able to look for and recognize Russian fighter jets and bombers. The cargo container reaches its destination. Boop! The top pops off. These drones fly out, like 36 drones, and they basically hit these jets, these bombers, and they did damage to it's over 40 Russian fighter jets and bombers, really hurting them. It's stunning what they were able to do. And people have been looking at this, and they looked at it yesterday. We discussed this yesterday. We hit on this briefly with Chuck DeVore of the Texas Public Policy Foundation. People looked at this and said, man, that is amazing. That is unbelievable what it is that Ukraine did. My God, just hide the drones in there. And the next thing you know, poop, pop out, fly over, take them out. You could train the drones to look for something that fits the right configuration. They were able to determine the weak spots in certain parts of these jets, of these bombers, hit them, disable them, cost the Russians billions of dollars, and hamper their ability to be able to attack you. Absolutely brilliant. I wonder who could do that to us. That was the immediate thought of anybody who was in that world. Us, we don't do this every day, so we don't necessarily think about things in that way. We would have been like, that is unbelievable that the Ukrainians were able to do that. And I do not believe at all that Ukraine did that on their own. I can't believe people can tell me that. People I know, like, and trust and have faith in and utilize the sources can tell me that. I don't believe it. Not for a second. But why couldn't China do that to us right now? And you say to me, Tony, but why China? Well, if you're smuggling in really hazardous bioweapons, what was the term used? Dangerous biological pathogens? Trying to end the food supply, because that's what it does. If you were in Wuhan trying to figure out how you can engage gain of function on coronaviruses, and then when you had a leak, not only did you not tell the world, you purchased from the world the PPE, the personal protective equipment, so then you could then sell it back to them at a profit. They warned no one. And then you had what is that? The health organization, the World Health, is it WHO, World Health Organization, say, hey, they didn't do anything wrong. They're just fine, upstanding people. Oh, am I getting paid now, China? Thank you, China. It tells Xi Jinping he looks nothing like Winnie the Pooh. Thank you for all the money. I appreciate it. Money, please. That was the World Health Organization. Could China do this? Yes, China is a threat. Yes, we're at war with China. This brings about the conversation regarding farmland. On the live stream, people are already talking about it. You guys know where I'm going. You know this. But some people, they may not be a part of the show all the time. Guys, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's break this down. The Chinese Communist Party has been buying farmland in the United States. This is News Nation. Chinese-owned U.S. farmland raises concerns of foreign drone attack. The Chinese currently own 370,000 acres of U.S. farmland. That, kids, is a problem. They also try to purchase land near military bases, near areas that are important. What would it take? Drone, 36 of them, 182 of them, 9 of them, boop, fly over a mile, 2 miles. You know, the Ukrainians were able to do this from over 3,000 miles away. They hit areas just outside of Mongolia. Go ahead, look at a map. That's pretty freaking far. If you went from New York City to Los Angeles, California, you'd still have to keep driving to hit the area that Ukraine was able to hit from Kyiv through this technology. What's a couple of miles amongst friends? It's nothing. And then you get reminded, and maybe some people forgot about this. You remember the drones in New Jersey? There were drones all over New Jersey. They were everywhere. And people were reporting on them. And what is this and what is that? And we got some nonsense answer about what it was. These drones were huge. They were bigger than a car. What are these drones? Of course, this is possible. And I don't say this to bring about fear. I say this to bring about reality. Of course, China is the enemy. Of course, we're at war with China, not because I want it. There's no warmongering in me. There's just recognition in me. We're at war with China because China's at war with us. And we are allowing the enemy to advance by first allowing Chinese nationals to cross the border and come into the country. And second, by allowing Chinese nationals to own land in the United States. That has to end. You cannot be connected at all to the Chinese Communist Party and own land in the United States. That can't happen. I know that I will get emails, and someone will tell me I'm a xenophobe, and someone will tell me I'm bigoted. I don't care at all what the ramblings of irrationality are from emotional people who refuse to see what is exactly in front of them. The communist Chinese cannot be trusted, and the communist Chinese are the enemy. By the way, all communists are enemies. Communism is the enemy of free and thinking people. Communism is the enemy of rational people. Communism is the enemy of the family. Communism is the enemy of religion. Communism is the enemy of civility. It always has been. It always will be. It can't be anything else. Communism, through its tool of Marxism, works to end those things. End civility, end the family, end culture, end the dominance of Western civilization to somehow institute a society that they think actually provides a value, but doesn't provide anything except a desire for a prayer for a quick and painless death, if, of course, you're praying quietly enough. Because if you pray out loud, well, you believe in God and not the state, and the state is God, so you're done. Communism is the enemy of all free and thinking people. There is at no moment Ronald Reagan wasn't 1,000% correct about that, 1,000% correct. But in this case, we are talking about the communist Chinese, so we have to talk about who it is we're talking about and let the people who scream xenophobia to scream it. Who cares? They don't matter. They don't count. They're not part of the rational world. No member of the Communist Chinese Party can own land in the United States. No one associated with the Communist Chinese Party can own land in the United States. And I would argue that no Chinese national, non-American, because there are plenty of Americans who are of Chinese descent, go live your life. No one's bothering you, and no one should bother you. But these people can't own land in the U.S., and that's all there is to it. That has to be the way it is. And we have to make the moves now to end this land ownership. Because otherwise, we are asking to get hurt. And I don't think we should ask that. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Why it was bothering me at the very end. I hit him. Hey, you don't stick around. Learn to leave. You're not welcome. Can you hear that fan? Yeah. There he is, the little stinker. There. Let's see what we got, guys. Good to be with you. So I hit the fly. I don't know where it is now. I don't know. I don't know where he went. I hear him, but he could just be taunting me. That could just be the whole thing. Let me see what I'm missing right here. Sometimes we get breaking news. Oh, that's good. That is good news. See, sometimes we do get breaking news. Good. Glad we got that right there. I will bring that back to you in just a minute or so. If you got questions, I got answers. I'm happy to answer them for you. Yeah, we're now just getting back to doing the streams from the surgery recovery, getting there. There's twinges, like if I move in the wrong direction, or I think that I have the strength in the arm that I don't have, like that'll hurt for a moment and it subsides, but in the main it's all going very, very, very well. And I'll be back to fighting shape in no time. By the way, I've had basically April, June, I've had a month and a half of basically no real movement. a month. I work from here. I do this. You know, I'm not out there in the field every day. I don't work one of those kinds of jobs. So I'm too sedentary as it is. But this has been ridiculous. I don't think I have ever felt this outrageously out of shape. There's nothing you can do. You can't. You got to actually do the recovery. Otherwise, you're just going to be damaged for forever. By the way, if you could see this right, see this is it's a pillow. So the arm goes on the pillow right there. Ow. Like that's it's so dumb. The slightest move out of the right, the pronation supination stuff like this. Like bring your elbow in and do this. Can you do this? Right? And how far will it go? And don't hurt yourself. And that's like some of the exercises. It's just been, in the beginning, it was like this. There was just no ability. Like, this is not the arm. I actually did this injury to this arm like a dozen years ago. But like, I'm cured there. Cured. Standing by. Coming back to the radio show, guys. An arrest made in the bombing of that Palm Springs fertility clinic. People forgot. When this happened last month, a bombing took place at something called the American Reproductive Centers facility. 4 people were injured. Wasn't there somebody killed in that attack? I thought 1 person was killed. Tony Katz today. That's me. That's the name of the show. A suspect was arrested at JFK Airport. They're going to be in Brooklyn Federal Court today. And then they're going to be extradited to California to face these charges. The suspect parking behind the building before, oh, that's right, this was somebody who worked with that person. The person who died was the person who blew the place up. Didn't want human beings because human beings never consented to being born. Oh yeah, that's what happened. So this was somebody working with him. The primary suspect was motivated by something called pro-mortalism. So he wanted to be dead, which is awful enough to think, and then decided, no. The problem is we're allowing other people to reproduce, and I can't do that. So he tried to kill other people. He didn't want people reproducing. I mean, that's just, I can make the argument that is just leftism, but that is just a diseased mind. It really is. If there were not people on the left who were like, I'm going to sing my abortion, I'm going to have like 50 abortions. Abortions are so great. We would have a lot easier of a time with the subject when it came up. But you'll notice that subject isn't even coming up. Interesting that we are, it's amazing. We just had the presidential election. We get Trump into office. It hasn't been 200 days yet. But we're soon going to get into midterm season. And so I guess, abortion will have to come back. But you'll notice that's not a subject at all. That's not even a subject being worked on in the states. Because there are states where the political left may want to pick something up in a state that isn't, let's say, Minnesota or New York or California and partial birth abortion type people, etc. They're not even talking about that. That's interesting. Why did they give up that subject? It's because it doesn't work on a national level, because each state is different and they can only do it on a state level. Why aren't they working on those state levels? Because I'm not hearing it. Doesn't mean it isn't happening. I'm just not hearing it. Interesting. Meanwhile, I'm glad they caught that other suspect. More is coming up. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. So here's what we've got, everybody. I've got some more live streaming to do, but we're in the longer commercial break now. So we are going to take that with them. Now is the perfect time to use the restroom and grab yourself a nice frosty beverage. Or go to Wendy's and get a Frosty. which sounds delicious. Sounds so good right now to have a Frosty. So kick back, relax, take it easy. And we will get back to the show a little bit after the top of the hour, wherever it is you're watching. I appreciate you being here very, very much. Hang loose. Oh man, the music didn't keep playing? I'm sorry. I usually keep music playing. Oh, that stinks. That stinks. Look at this. What is going on here? I'm all wrapped around. Guys, hey, how are you? Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. That's the name of the show. Good to be with you. I needed to do a little bit of I needed to stretch my legs, right? Need to take the break. Everyone takes a break. We'll get back to it. Where do I have? So if you go to tonykatz.com and I welcome you to be a part of what we're doing over there. I have up every day. I have this show sheet that goes up. Basically, what I'm going to be talking about today, and what I think are the top stories out there. And on that, I have this story about Jen Psaki and this story about Joy Reid. And you're like, Tony, we do not need Joy Reid stories. Oh, you do. You need many, many, many Joy Reid stories. And the reason you need a Joy Reid story is because of a continual trend. And it's based on the theory that you know well. You don't hate the media enough. I'm going to bring this to you. We're back to the radio show in a minute. It's insane. And it's all part of a bigger story. And I'm going to try and tie all the loose ends together in this. And I'm going to use also some good stuff from Kira Davis. If you don't know Kira, who fills in for me from time to time, the Just Listen to Yourself podcast. Kira's tremendous. Seen her doing a bunch of Fox lately. I'm happy for her on that. Charles Payne on the radio side, you'll be hearing him in a little bit. I spoke with him earlier about the jobs numbers that came in, at least according to ADP, well under expectations and what that actually means. So we'll get into that as well. You hear that. You can go to WIBC.com and get that info right there. So I'm glad that you guys are here. Glad to be bringing back parts of the live stream. And don't forget our sponsor. Look at the Harborside turquoise right there. Von Riest. I'm their brand ambassador. One of them, me and Chase Briscoe and NASCAR. And so you can go to vonreest.com, use promo code CATS and get your discount. Watches assembled right here in the USA, assembled in Indiana. Different watches for different needs. But you can wear them every day. You can pass them down to the kids, however you choose to do it. They're beautiful. They're wonderful. I love it. You've often heard the expression, you do not hate the media enough. Guys, you do not hate the media enough. I was sharing on my show sheet, which you get at tonykatz.com, the story of Jen Psaki, former White House press secretary, who absolutely knew that Joe Biden was incompetent and incapable and lied every single day before Karine Jean-Pierre lied every single day. And Karine Jean-Pierre now has a book, and the book is called Independent, how she's leaving the Democratic Party and being an independent now. You're not very independent when you join a cabal to lie to the American people about who's running the country. Not so much on the independent side are you, Karine Jean-Pierre. But Jen Psaki left the White House and then went to MSNBC and, oddly enough, never had to change her office. She gets a show on MSNBC, disgustingly and despicably makes more money than I do. And then she was put in to be the new face of the network. She was going to be the one who was going to replace Maddow. And of course, they tried Alex Wagner replacing Maddow, and that didn't work. And then Maddow was going to work one day a week, and she was still going to make like $20 million a year. I don't understand how they have $20 million. But Wagner, basically, it failed. She couldn't garner an audience. She couldn't attract an audience. She couldn't get people to stick around for her. So now they're trying the next move. And the next move is Jen Psaki. And Jen Psaki has failed epically. She has had drawn an average of 971,000 viewers since the show debuted. It's a 47% fall off from what Maddow and Alex Wagner had gotten in that 9 p.m. time slot. That 9 p.m.'s a big deal, boo. 9 p.m.'s a big deal. No one is watching. In the demographic that matters, which is 25 to 54, she had 78,000 viewers. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get more from this live stream. Okay, maybe I won't yet. But, the day is not over. Now, as a matter of comparison, Maddow and Wagner got 161,000 viewers. So we're not talking about huge numbers. Remember, we put a lot of emphasis on cable news. The truth is, America doesn't give two you-know-whats. It's not the thing that moves them or matters to them. But still, they're able to shape conversations, and they're able to put forth narrative. And when I say narrative, I mean lies, and they're able to do it pretty dang well. Jen Psaki is failing. Why is Jen Psaki failing? We'll get to that. This brings us to the story of Joy Reid. And of course, you know Joy Reid. Of course you do.
I hate old white men.
I know. I know. I'm fully understanding of this, Joy. Everybody knows that you hate old white men. You hate a lot of people, a tremendous number of people. She was talking about how she got fired from MSNBC, saying that I try not to speculate too much publicly because, again, I can't get inside the minds of other people. But I can tell you what other people speculated about. What a statement. I can't speculate, but others are speculating. And so here's the speculation that I can't speculate about. But since I couch it in such a way, I can speculate about it. This is journalism to her. And what does she state? I think that there's a difference for Trump in hearing the kinds of criticisms specifically out of a black woman. It bothers him in a way it doesn't bother him like anything else. He's got this sort of tick about race, and about sort of criticism coming specifically from a black woman because we've seen him lay out and dish out real abuse against black women journalists. You mean like Jim Acosta, or do you mean like Caitlin Collins? Which black journalists are you referring to that specifically get the abuse? Just asking for a friend. Are you talking about the lawsuit against George Stephanopoulos? Which black journalists? You absolute fraud. Listen, I'm just speculating that you made all this up, and you are such a grievance merchant, absolutely invested in making everything racial because it's the only way you attract whatever audience you have. That you have to make everything racial. This is the stuff that America has said, hey, you know what? We think that kind of conversation sucks and we're not interested. We're not interested in you. We're not interested in your network. We're not interested in voting for the people you tell us to vote for. We're not interested. It's in the same way that when you take a look at Joy Behar, I know. Who wants to look at Joy Behar? That's so offensive. Actually, who wants to hear her? I don't know. Maybe somebody wants to look at her. I'm not here to judge those things. But when you listen to Joy Behar and you hear her talk about the problems with the voter and the voter this and the voter that and the problems that she has, and she says things like this. You call people racists. You call Trump racist, and therefore the people who voted for him voted for a racist. You call people sexist. And the people who voted for Trump, you're calling a sexist. You're Jen Psaki, and you're playing all around this idea. Maybe there's a reason you don't get listeners, you don't get viewers, you fail. But I started this by saying that you do not hate the press enough, which brings us to this story from USA Today. Michael Loria reporting. I don't know anything about Michael Loria at all. Here's the headline. Boulder suspect's daughter dreamed of studying medicine. Now she faces deportation. Boulder suspect. We're speaking here about the Egyptian national who set Jews on fire. That's who we're talking about. We're talking about the Egyptian national, Mohammed Sabri Solomon, who planned for over a year to attack Jews, to scream about the Zionists, scream free Palestine, made videos about this and giving himself up for Allah. All of a sudden, he's got a family, and oh, the poor family, and they were just trying to live their lives, and now they may not be able to live their dreams. He set people on fire. He threw Molotov cocktails at them while they sat there and reminded the world that there are hostages still being kept by this terrorist organization, Hamas, and they should be freed. That's what they did. He didn't even know if they were all Jewish. He didn't care. He wants hostages. He wants dead Jews. He wants to destroy Israel, and he wants to destroy America. And now we have to say, but what about his daughter? Oh, his poor daughter. She wanted a career in medicine. She had such great things ahead of her. What did the family know, and when did the family know it? That's why they were arrested. Or at least I should say taken into custody. That's why they were taken into custody. What did they know, and when did they know it? I do not believe that the child is guilty for the sins of the father. I believe that if the adult child knew that the father was trying to kill Jews, that's a problem, and you can get deported for that. And in all times, I look at the citizen of the United States as being different than the citizens from some other nation, because citizens of the United States are top of the food chain. We go down from there. I rank these things. I don't know why other people don't rank these things. I rank these things. I think it's pretty important to do. You do not hate the press enough. If the person throwing the Molotov cocktail and creating the makeshift flamethrower was white, and the person he was firebombing and setting on fire, the people he was firebombing and setting on fire were black, would USA Today write that headline? They wouldn't write any headline about that. Every headline would be, look at this white racist, just another white racist, white people this and white people that and white people the other. But it's Jews. So therefore, you got to have a look at the sympathetic woman, daughter, who isn't going to be able to go to med school because her father's a terrorist. And she may have known, we don't know yet. And they may be in the country illegally. That part we still have to get an answer to. We know that he overstayed two visas. Kira Davis, over there on Twitter, at Real Kira Davis, shares a story about, you can't really see that too well, shares a story from ABC 7 in Los Angeles. Garden Grove father worries he'll miss third daughter's birth while in ICE custody. You do not hate the press enough. Everybody is pouring into the country, illegally coming into the country, and the press can't be bothered with those stories. They can't be bothered with recognizing Joe Biden's mental decline. But if you try to remove these people who are here illegally, what about the children? If you notice that someone tried to kill 12 people in the United States, this was an attempted act of mass murder. And only by luck these people aren't dead. Well, then what about the children? These are adult children. Still children, how dare you? How dare you say that about the children? You do not hate the media enough. As Kira points out, these stories are going to accelerate that border wall. They have the opposite effect now. Americans are tired, and outlets like ABC7 had no kindness for us when we were out of work and school during COVID and wanted to be free to work and earn and learn. Shame on you, ABC7. Well, she's certainly right about that. Second part is Kira Davis. But that first part, they have the opposite effect now. Isn't that exactly why Joy Reid is off MSNBC? Isn't that exactly why Jen Psaki is failing at MSNBC? There is nothing they do that connects. Everything is boring, tiresome, hateful vitriol where they side at every single twist and turn with the enemies of you and me and freedom and humanity. At every turn, they side quite literally with the enemy. If the headline is, "What about the daughter?" you're saying, hey, he did bad, but there is no but. He tried to set people on fire. He wanted to kill people because they were Jews. And you wouldn't say it if they were black, and you wouldn't say it if they were this, that, or the other. So Gannett is USA Today, right? Their anti-Semitism, well known, well understood, well figured out. Because what else is this? They would never write this article otherwise. The Progressive is a lost soul. And this is what they do. This is how they turn. This is how they twist. No one ever wrote an article. Donald Trump may go to jail with 4 indictments. How will Don Jr. and Eric survive? They never wrote that. Their dreams might be dashed. Never wrote that either. You don't hate the media enough. And I know I'm a radio host. Am I media? No, I'm not that. I can say this clearly. I am not that. I have argued right here to you that the political left cannot learn because they will not learn, and they will not learn because they cannot learn. I've said it a little bit differently. They can't learn because they won't learn, and they won't learn because they can't learn. I don't care how you want to say it. This is the answer. They still do this thing. What we need to ensure ourselves of, and what we need to be, why we bring these things up, is that they do this to an ever smaller audience. The only thing that is going to work is that if they are financially starved. How can any advertiser still advertise in USA Today? How can any advertiser still advertise on MSNBC when there are radio shows like this and all across the country, great people, friends, all sorts of good people to advertise on that have an audience that isn't hateful and spiteful and buying in to this clear nonsense? This is USA Today saying, hey, setting 12 people on fire. Sorry, setting 12 Jews on fire. Not so bad. That's what they're saying. It is ABC7 saying, hey, being in the country illegally, not so bad. Breaking the law, not so bad. Why do these sponsors still sponsor these people? Why do we still buy from these sponsors? When we figure that part out and really start on a nationwide level, staying away from those sponsors, maybe things will really change for the better in the media landscape. Until then, let them just starve and die out. Let radio reign supreme. Let the new media reign supreme. But you don't hate the mainstream press enough. You really don't. I'm Tony Katz. Now we don't need to repeat that, guys. Good to be with you. Good to be with you. Don't forget WIBC.com. That's where you'll be able to hear my interview with Charles Payne of Fox Business. That is coming up. So be sure to check on that. Sadly, I can't stream the whole show. Not today. Not today, but I was able to get more in today. I was very appreciative of that. I'm really glad you guys are here. Can't thank you enough. Great story about the Steelers and just how ridiculous some people are. So I will get that to you. Cigars to finish. I'm on Newsmax today at 5:20 Eastern. Yeah, with Carl Higbee. Nice guy. I don't often see Instagram videos, but I saw one where I guess he was having some party and he was grilling up every piece of meat he could humanly find. And I was like, you make me proud. So I got to send him a copy of Let's Go Barbecue. I wrote a book, Let's Go Barbecue. I don't know if you know it. Let's Go Bourbon, Let's Go Barbecue. Written a couple books. Do I have a cop? No, I don't. I used to have a picture of it up here. I don't. I got a picture of it. They're available at Amazon.com. Let's Go Bourbon, Let's Go BBQ. You should get those books immediately, if not sooner. Meanwhile, we're 30 seconds away from the radio show. We will get back to that. Steelers fans are angry, which I am shocked by. I thought Steelers fans were tougher, but maybe they carry those terrible towels to dab their tears when they are, insulted by somebody's politics. I honestly didn't know that the folks of Steel were so weak. Shocked. I am. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. So Trump did a rally in Pittsburgh. And at the rally in Pittsburgh, was this last week before. So the one of the quarterbacks, he's not going to be the starter, is he? Mason Rudolph? I don't think so. You got their special teams captain, Miles Killebrew, and former Steeler Rocky Bleier. I used to love Rocky Bleier. They were on stage, a brief appearance with Trump when he was in West Mifflin. He was talking about the merger between Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel, which still bothers me tremendously. And they gave him a jersey, and so they're up there, and people were upset. And so they went to the team. How could you let these players and former players show up with Donald Trump? So the Steelers put out a note that says, "We understand that a recent rally in Pittsburgh has generated a range of reactions from our fan base. Our alumni and current players make their own individual decisions that reflect their views, and they do not necessarily represent the view of the entire Pittsburgh Steelers organization." The correct answer should have been, shut up. There are real issues in the world, and this ain't one of them. If they had shown up with Joe Biden, other people would have been upset. Maybe less people should just be upset. Maybe less people should care. We're the backup quarterback and a retired for 50 years player for the Steelers go. You don't care. It doesn't really matter. For the people who were there, it was pretty cool. Rocky Bleier's institution. Move on. But if it means you're not going to watch the team anymore, not come to games anymore, okay. Everything will get better. The very moment that these sports organizations and other organizations say, whatever, boo, we're going to go do our thing. We're just not paying any attention to this. Within reason, but this is one of the things within reason. What to make of the jobs report? Charles Payne, Fox Business, up next. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Can't thank you guys enough for being here, for being a part of what it is we do. Don't forget to go to TonyKatz.com and be a part of that. Subscribe and like and do all the things that you do over there. Right there, you just got to follow and you can be a part of what we're building. Appreciate it. Get the podcast right as you get your podcast. Just search for Tony Katz today on all the podcast platforms. We are everywhere, people, and appreciate it quite a bit. And don't forget to like and subscribe there on the YouTubes, Tony Katz, Twitter X, Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. Guys, can't thank you enough. I'll be back tomorrow. We will do this tomorrow. I'll catch you then. Take care.